I'm going to tell you how you can find out about how your institution is doing and how you can compare yourself with other institutions if you would like to through the accountability system. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of background. The accountability system was started through a directive from Governor Perry back in 2004. We started with just the universities, the TSTCs, and Lamar State colleges, and then the community colleges actually volunteered in the next spring. And so we worked with the community colleges to develop theirs in the spring of 2005. We based it on closing the gaps. We have a section for participation, success, excellence, research. We also have an area for institutional effectiveness and efficiency. And then for those health-related institutions, we look at their patient care, the money and how many patients they're serving and that sort of thing, because we wanted to include all of the different sectors. We tried to make it useful. Some people say it's really way too much still, but we try to make it useful. We have a very few number of what we call key goals. So you'll look at enrollment by ethnicity. You look at graduates. You look at some of those key field research expenditures. We also have what we call contextual measures. Those are measures that help explain why a graduation rate is low, percentage of undergraduates that are on Pell, that type of thing that helps you define for the community colleges. We have total enrollment. We have an annual enrollment because your students go through, they get certificates, and they move on very quickly. So we show the overall annual enrollment, not just the fall enrollment. There's those types of things that we have through there. One of the other things that we added, and I think Texas so far is the only state that's doing this in their accountability system, is below each of the key measures and below the whole group of contextual measures, we have something called a text box. Your institution can enter whatever they want in that text box that explains a little bit more about your institution. You are able to talk about things that have happened in your community that may cause either your enrollment to go way up or your enrollment to go way down. So that is your chance to say anything you want about the data, about what's going on, and kind of what's going right and what's going wrong, and explain it. And that is given, those text boxes, when we print out a PDF, those text boxes go with the data. So the data doesn't have to stand just by itself. It gives you a chance to put your words along with it. We have groups in the accountability system. For the universities, we have 5 different groups, health-related. We only have 10 institutions. Well, we will soon have 12, but right now we have 10 institutions, so they're a group. Then we have the community colleges broken out by size. Who uses it? We've seen legislators looking at it while they're up on the diocese, so they use it. Some of the university systems use it. Some of the community colleges actually download the data and fill in their own accountability system, pulling from the institutions that they want to compare themselves to, and they populate their own accountability system through ours. We have institutions, and we hear a lot from the institutional research community that they use it. It's a lot easier than having to call every other institution to get the data. They can just go to the accountability system and pull it down. And then we use it internally when we're looking at programs that we're going to review or other areas that we think we need to look at, who's doing well, who's not doing well, call them to see what they're doing that has made such a huge improvement. We use that for our best practices. The data, we have a lot of data. You may have heard that from your institutions when they're reporting all that data, that we have too much data. But we do have information, obviously, on enrollment and degrees. We calculate graduation and persistence rates. We have faculty data. There have been times in the legislation where you have to post faculty data. What we have done is we have provided a link through the accountability system to the faculty data, so institutions can all point to that same place and all the data is there for everybody. We also have the sources and uses of funds. Those are kind of pulled into it. This is how you get to it. The website is the very last slide. It's in your handout. But you go to the Texas Higher Ed data site, and you can see in red there's circled accountability. One of the things we've added this last year is that we have now a statewide total. So we have it by sector, so you have the universities and you can look at individual universities, you can look at systems, or you can look at all the universities. Same thing for the community colleges. We have the 2-year and 4-year for-profit institutions. Some of their data is out there now. But we also have a statewide total so that if you want to see the total enrollment across all the sectors, it's now there. You don't have to go to 4 or 5 different places to pull that information. You can get it all at one time. Here's an example for the university statewide for their enrollment, for their participation. And as you can see, under each of the years, you'll see a little detail button. So if you really want to drill down and get more information, you click on the detail button and it comes up and it will have by age, by level, by gender, by entering status, so how many of their undergraduates are first-time entering, how many of them are transfer students. All of that information is also available. On the accountability, on the higher ed site, you can get to a lot of other information. We have the almanac, which you can't see in this picture, which I thought you could. So up there at the top on the right-hand corner of the same page, you see an almanac. We have transfer reports. We have distance education reports. We have data on P16. So we have those high school to college going rates where you can look at your area high schools and where they're sending their students to. We also have information on those high school students. How are they doing their first year in college? Then we also have workforce data, which is relatively new. You'll be talking a lot more about that tomorrow for those that stay. We have gainful employment data, so how are your students doing in the workforce and how many of them are we finding? As we go forward and as we get your input onto the next higher education plan, what we will be doing is taking the whole accountability system and probably remodeling it after the new plan. So that will not happen until next year. This year we will just keep going as we are, but then we will be coming forward and pulling in some of the information that you will need to identify with the new plan and how are you making progress to the new plan. That's why we really do need your input into what's going to be in that plan, because we're not going to start until we get input from you. And so that's where we're going with that. We will also be including, we have included information for the community colleges on their success points. So we have a lot of information so each institution can go and look at their success points, where they're earning points, where they thought they might be getting points and where another institution has already gotten that point. And so that's one of those things that we're working on, and we'll probably build that more integrated into the system as we move forward instead of standalone. And as I said, here is the link to the system, and that's about all I have.